Michael Bennett from Colorado is not one of those people that you anticipate is going to be in the vanguard of a partisan fight.
Right.
Colorado, still purplish state. It's getting a little bit bluer over time, obviously.
I think it's a blue state. But both him and Hickenlooper are voting against the cloture and the CR.
But there has always been this sort of like, I mean, maybe part of it is like, I still consider it purple, and it just because I'm old. But you're not getting the vanguard of like fighters, partisan fighters from Colorado.
They're not members of DSA.
Exactly. Or frankly, like the progressive caucus.
Right.
Bennett, if you had asked me like a week ago, there's going to be 8 Democratic senators who are going to vote in favor of this Republican budget because bipartisanship is so important. Bennett would be on my list of maybe.
Right.
But apparently CNN's reporting that is not the case. Here is Ken Klippenstein clipped something from CNN just.
Oh, I guess this was earlier this morning.
Earlier this morning.
Now, according to Democratic Senate sources I've been talking to, the biggest frustration inside the Democratic caucus isn't just Schumer's decision, but the indecision most of the week. The lack of clarity about what Democrats should or would do played out in a series of private Senate Democratic meetings that got pretty intense. In one notable moment, I'm told that Senator Michael Bennett of Colorado, who has not been shy about his frustration with his party leadership in the past, erupted during one of those meetings. 2 sources familiar with the moment tell CNN that Senator Bennett accused the Senate Democratic leadership, his leadership, of having, quote, no strategy, no plan, and no message on this spending bill. Now, according to...
I mean, and here's the thing, is that like, when I hear that there was no plan the week going into this, it definitely feels like he is getting pressure from donors.
Yep.
Because nothing that's happened right now has been unpredictable. We've been talking, I mean, we all knew when the deadline was. We've known for at least 2 weeks what was going to be in this so-called continuing resolution, which turned out to be worse than a clean continuing resolution. At one point, Democrats were like, we're not doing a clean continuing resolution. We want an affirmative statement that you're going to abide by this. Because if you're not going to actually respect Congress's ability to appropriate money, we've written on the budget that, Department of Education gets $10 billion. And you come in and say, well, we're going to cut $5 billion after you do it. What's the role of Congress? So 2 or 3 weeks ago, the general talk was like, we can't have a clean budget a continuing resolution. We need one that says like an affirmative.
Get some guardrails.
An affirmative guardrail.
But people may not know what clean CR means, right? Which is just basically keeping the government open for a shorter period of time using the framework from the previous budget.
Using the exact same budget numbers that existed in the year before.
Yes, but that's not what the Republicans did here. They are trying to push it through because it helps enable Musk and Trump to continue
It's even
what
different
they're doing.
than that. They're cutting basically, Washington, D.C. has to cut $1.6 billion from their budget with this. They cut in other places, and you'll see it reported. I can't remember what the number was, $13 billion, which, in the great scheme of things is not necessarily huge, but it's actually $26 billion annualized. They add $10 billion to defense, which is actually $20 billion annualized. And on top of which, not only did they not offer an affirmative vow that we're going to actually respect the appropriations that we're voting on now, they're on the floor being quite clear that we will not respect even these appropriations that we're pretending to make. So they're guaranteeing more cuts to this budget and basically saying this is window dressing. This just gives us the air coverage to the air cover to cut all of these agencies.
The other thing it does, and again, we have to ask if Chuck Schumer and Fetterman dislike this, given their support for, or their weakness on the abduction of Khalil, but FAIR, the Federation for American Immigration Reform, or in my opinion, a white supremacist anti-immigrant group, says one of the most positive changes in the bill is the funding increase for ICE. The new CR allocates $9.9 billion to ICE, $485 million more than last year. These additional funds will be critical in addressing ICE's budget shortfall and helping to carry out the Trump administration's removal efforts. ICE was facing a severe budget shortfall as President Biden left office.
It's insane that this is included. I mean, that and that Schumer is backing it. But I think that they are panicked about how the market looks right now, and they're anticipating a reward from donors if they stabilize it. And Chuck Schumer didn't get the memo out to the rest of his caucus, apparently, that, hey, Wall Street's in my state, buddy. So I'm going to look out for that. Either way. And when he claims on Chris Hayes that he's backing up the federal workers, when the literal union that represents them, the largest, as Hayes pointed out, says, we want you to oppose this continuing resolution. I mean, Schumer, don't tell the federal workers what is good for them when the union is telling them
we know what's better for you.
The Democrats should be sponsoring bills after this on the floors of the House and Senate named after federal workers and veterans who have been fired by this administration. But we can't even get the leader of the Democrats to listen to the union. It's astounding.
Do you want to play AOC's on Tapper or do Chris Murphy's?
Take a quick break and then can I be back for that? We're not no freebie Friday.
Let's do some IMs. Also, do we have that Larson speech? It is in the Slack. David J. Sederista, 2011, left voicemails for both. Mr. Letter, every senator I called identified as myself as a federal worker. I told them I wanted to vote. No one close or to shut down the government, and everyone I worked with did too. Oh, okay. Trav from Reno. Emma, your closing message on the Emma Jordy report yesterday made me think about my own experience about my stance on the Iraq war. In my friend group, my buddy and I were that frat guy, and we both recently apologized to our Emma for how we treated her during that time. We are grateful for those who had the moral clarity at the time and the grace not to disown us. Left his best.
That's fascinating.
Rosen is a no on cloture. That's according to Nassau County spokesperson. Can we get that? Verified? That is a. She was in the quiet. She's a no on cloture. It's confirmed.
Yep. He released his statement.
All right, that's great. I would imagine that means that Cortez Masto may also be a no on cloture. She just won. Oh, no, Rosen just won. But Cortez Masto, I think, is not up until 2028. So Alex from Michigan. Sam, there's a reason why terrestrial radio used to make calls on air. It's great radio. I love this live Call Your Senator segments. Shows exactly how easy it is.
I think it also helped kill time on the radio too, maybe a little bit. So
that's not why we do it.
Of course not. No, we'd be doing it all the time if so.
MJS 16. Sam, he did have that in NYT op-ed ready to go, which indicates even his initial no vote was a total canard. I'm not sure what that's about. Midwestern Trench. Did you see that picture Nina Turner posted of Schumer and Trump absolute turncoat stuff?
She reposted it for me.
That's from 2017.
I posted it, but I didn't post the date. It was just more a symbolic post of so Nina reposted. I think that was me. I mean, not to take credit for it, but.
Militant apathy. Sheldon Whitehouse, a Democrat that I trust, is basically saying they had no choice but to vote for cloture. I'm surprised. I was a little surprised by that too. He was also the one pushing the sort of fig leaf, we're going to vote for a 30-day continuing resolution. Give me a break.
So did you say, I heard you say Rosen's voting no?
Rosen's voting no right now.
On cloture or the CR?
On cloture. Here is Representative John Larson. This is from like 2 days ago, I think, from Connecticut, talking about this the dynamic that's going on right now within our government.
We're an equal branch of government, and you start off with a blather, and yet look at the empty seats here. Where's Elon Musk? I'm sure he's a genius and is a very credible person because of the wealth he's accumulated. But that does not put him above the law or the responsibility to come before this committee in this Congress. If he's so great, if these plans and all the fraud and abuse that he found are so eminent, why isn't he here explaining it? You know why.
I'm playing video.
Because he's out to privatize Social Security. He's been on television the last couple of days talking exactly about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and what he intends to do. Privatize it. The American people, some of them may have been born at night, but not last night.
Yeah, nice. There we go.
Here is Chris Murphy, also from Connecticut.
This is my pick for new Senate leader for the Democrats. I'm putting that out into the universe.
He is explaining why he is voting no on cloture.
So I want to tell you why I'm voting against the Republican funding bill when it comes up for a vote tomorrow. You deserve to know the stakes here. First of all, you get this. Trump has a plan, and he's implementing it to destroy our economy and our government, to create a crisis that allows him to hand our government over to his billionaire friends and to suspend our democracy. I wish that weren't true, but it is. The question then is this: does the funding bill make it easier or harder for Trump to implement that plan? Now, I judge that it makes it easier, and so I can't support it. The basics here are this. Republicans are in charge, right? They need Democratic votes to pass a funding bill, but they never negotiated with Democrats. They didn't even try. They wrote their own partisan bill. They filled it with all sorts of right-wing shit. This isn't a continuing resolution. It doesn't just continue last year's funding, even though the press is reporting it that way. It makes big changes to law, and they're all changes designed to make it easier for Trump to implement that plan to destroy our country. For instance, it makes massive cuts to housing programs, to Social Security, to programs for health care for working families. That paves the way for Musk to advance his illegal assault on those government services. It gives Trump brand new spending powers. For instance, the ability to start new military programs that haven't even been authorized by Congress. At this moment of crisis, that sounds like a really dangerous idea. And it takes key guardrails off of presidential spending authority. That allows Trump and Musk to more easily move money from one account to the other. Now listen, Trump and Musk are going to keep acting illegally, no matter what this funding bill says. Whether we stop them, that's going to be up to the courts and up to our ability to mobilize people all over the country against their agenda, which is deeply, deeply unpopular. But by passing a bill that makes their plan easier to implement, Democrats risk putting a kind of bipartisan veneer of endorsement on their campaign to give our government to the billionaires and to destroy the rule of law. And I just won't be a part of that.
We've heard Chuck Schumer's claim on this, that he's banking on Donald Trump being weaker in September. And then somehow, I don't even know what they're supposed, I don't even know how that works, because in September, it's going to be a reconciliation bill. So there is no filibuster. So in other words, the Republicans will need no Democratic votes to do anything. In fact, not only would they not need any Democratic votes, they can lose 2 or 3 votes.
Yep. This is the leverage
really,
point.
I mean, like the idea of a Republican senator voting against a Republican budget in 2025, maybe even in the 21st century. Maybe I could see Mike Lee or
Rand Paul
when it was absolutely guaranteed that it's going to pass. They will vote. They'll be released to do that. But I mean, beyond that, it's just insane. Understand, that's what Schumer's strategy is. To wait to September, hope that Trump's numbers are low enough that some Republican senator says it's in my best interest to vote against the Republican-approved budget. This is insane.
He's also overestimating Trump's popularity right now. Right now. I mean, he slipped below 50% approval in most polls. Like, that is, for a honeymoon period, extremely low. He's on the best of days, a deeply divisive figure in this country. This is not Reagan 84. He didn't win in an overwhelming landslide. He got less than 50% of the popular vote. And they're not going to fight him on a dirty continuing resolution that basically opens the door to cut health care, to cut funding for Washington, D.C., and formalizes Elon Musk's illegal takeover of our budget and federal government. Step down, hashtag step down Schumer.
11 people arrested in Schumer's office.
Yep. Sunrise movement.
Great job.
Great job.
Here is AOC on Jake Tapper's program last night. And she's making the case against, for the Senate to reject, say no on cloture, essentially block the Republican budget bill. And, listen to this.
And Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York joins me now in the studio. Congresswoman, thanks so much for being here. So on social media, you've been urging people to call their senators, tell them to vote no on cloture, which allows the bill to go forward for a vote of just a simple majority, and to vote no on the vote for a simple majority on the Republican bill. What do you say to the counter argument of, like, a government shutdown hurts the country, hurts the people you represent from Queens and the Bronx?
Absolutely, and that is why House Democrats have laid out a plan, as well as several Senate Democrats laid out a plan to keep government open for another 30 days as Republicans negotiate a deal with Democrats in order to have an extended government funding bill.
But the House would have to come back into session, right?
But House Democrats are in town. We're afraid of working? Is that the problem here? That the idea that, God forbid, members of Congress have to fly back and do their jobs? Genuinely, come on.
So Chuck Schumer, I guess, the Senate Democratic leader, your senator.
Pause it for a second. I just want you to contemplate, let's just stay here. Jake Tapper's actually bringing up, Mike Johnson specifically sent Republicans home as a way of creating leverage. And Tapper just swallows that as if it's like, wait a second. Understand, how many people in this country are on call by Walmart to come in for a shift that they're not aware of at any point? The idea that
it is a legitimate,
it is a legitimate sort of a dynamic in our government that we have a crisis, in terms of the budget, which of course was orchestrated. They could have dealt with this 6 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago. They knew they set the date. And people have left town. Are you really suggesting you're going to vote against this when some people might have to fly back?
And just a really good look for her to be able to say that and make that case that she wants to do her job.
You'd be laughing in his face.
And let me just be a bit of a political nerd for a sec. What she did yesterday was expertly done. after this appearance, there was a CNN article that came out that basically previews that she is going to primary Chuck Schumer if he doesn't resign. And we'd been wondering what she's setting herself up for. Is she going to try to run for president? It seems clear she's going to try to run for Senate. And what was included in that article was how many centrist House Democrats are urging her to do that because of how unhappy they are with the lack of fight in the Senate when they're up for re-election every 2 years, putting themselves on the line with votes, trying to oppose the Republicans and doing so. And when the Senate turns around and they have no risk except, from their donors, and they throw them under the bus. So she's developing like a political kind of, she's getting the backing of her House colleagues in this effort. And this was coordinated yesterday.
Evan says on the IM, 2 senators called. Seriously easier than I thought. Just left a message. Very easy to do. Let's continue.
Chuck Schumer, I guess the Senate Democratic leader, your senator, said at this meeting that he is going to vote for cloture. He is going to vote to allow there to be a simple majority vote. You think that's wrong?
I believe that's a tremendous mistake. Yes.
Why?
I think, well, first and foremost, the American people, if anyone has held a town hall or has seen what has been happening in town halls, American people, whether they are Republicans, independents, Democrats, are up in arms about Elon Musk and the actual gutting of federal agencies across the board. This continuing resolution codifies much of this chaos that Elon Musk is wreaking havoc on the federal government. It codifies many of those changes. It sacrifices and completely eliminates congressional authority in order to review these impulsive Trump tariffs that he's switching on and off. And on top of that, for folks who are concerned about effectiveness in government, this Republican extreme spending bill removes all of the guardrails and all of the accountability measures to ensure that money is being spent in the way that Congress has directed for it to be spent. This turns the federal government into a slush fund for Donald Trump and Elon Musk. It sacrifices congressional authority, and it is deeply partisan. And so to me, it is almost unthinkable why Senate Democrats would vote to hand the few pieces of leverage that we have away for free when we've been sent here to protect Social Security, protect Medicaid, and protect Medicare.
Should also add, in this bill, there is a provision that would prevent Republicans from having to vote on Trump's tariffs.
Oh, she says that later in the interview. She brings that up, yeah.
Do we have it? You want to play it?
I'm not sure if I included it in the excerpts I sent. It's okay.
There would have been an obligation for the Republicans to sign off on these tariffs.
Yeah.
So the Republicans know this is a way to basically disarm any potential sort of like vote that they have to take that might be damaging to them in 2026. I mean, it's just fascinating to see how much Chuck Schumer is giving away, politically speaking.
Did you hear, this is just, I thought you'd appreciate this. She said the Republican extreme spending bill. Another Democrat would have come out and called it MAGA, Trumpy. She was so
she understands who she's going to have to run against.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get it, but like she's also just a very disciplined interview and like what was on message the entire time. Do we have that second part where she's asked explicitly about the Schumer primary? Do you want to play that?
Yep.
Yeah. People should watch this whole interview if they get a chance. It's like very juicy.
The job Democratic leaders are doing, not just Senate Democratic leaders, but also Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, your fellow New Yorker, in terms of standing up to Trump?
Well, when we look at this vote around this government funding bill that we saw this week, Leader Hakeem Jeffries was able to keep the entire House Democratic caucus united and together.
Except for Terry Golden.
Right. Every single House Democrat, including every single House Democrat who won a Trump district, except for one out of over 200, voted against this deeply partisan, extreme Republican spending bill, not just because they're Democrats, but because they know it's bad for the country. This bill is bad for the country. And so I think that in terms of Democratic leadership in the House, we've seen that result in the House. I think it's time that we see similar results in the Senate.
Would you, what do you think of the job that Chuck Schumer is doing? Would you ever challenge him, do you think?
I think that what we need right now is a united Senate Democratic caucus that can stand up for this country and not vote for cloture and not vote for this bill. And I think that the strength that we have is in this moment. Reconciliation and all of these, Republicans do not need Democratic votes for that. They need it for this. And so the strength of our leadership in this moment is going to demonstrate the strength of our caucus. And I cannot urge enough how bad of an idea it is to empower and enable Donald Trump and Elon Musk in this moment. It is dangerous and it is reckless.
Well, you just talked about the strength of your leadership. Chuck Schumer just said that he's going to vote for cloture. Not only the Democrats can do it, but he's going to participate in it. Does that mean that you think he's a weak Senate leader?
I think that that would be a mistake, but we have time between now and tomorrow, and I hope that individuals that are considering that reconsider it. I genuinely do. I don't think it's what New Yorkers want. I don't think it's what the country wants. This is genuinely not about Democrats or Republicans. This is about deep cuts to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. This is about the evisceration of the federal government. This is about codifying the looting that is happening at the behest of Elon Musk in order to pay for his tax breaks for billionaires. And we have a responsibility to stand up for it. That is why people elected us, and that is our responsibility to them right now.
All right.
I'm just looking, Jake Sherman, Politico?
Punch Bowl.
Punch Bowl. Question for Leader Jeffries. Is it time for new leadership in the Senate? What do you think Jeffries says?
I don't think it's time to have that argument right now, but I do think that many members are very happy. Okay, I'm not looking at the screen. That's my guess.
Here's his next question. He offers zero support for Chuck Schumer. That's real.
That's what Joe Biden would call daylight.
Well, the Pass the Torch Joe little people were retweeting me, criticizing Schumer. They formally called on him to step aside. I mean, I just want to read this quote that I was alluding to earlier, that a member said that Democrats were, quote, so mad that even centrist Democrats were, quote, ready to write checks for AOC for Senate. This was the article that came out yesterday about her potentially primarying him. And now 50 House Democrats have written a letter criticizing Schumer's decision. Nancy Pelosi just came out and criticized Schumer. Now Jeffries says next question. I don't think it's, and this is a fluid situation, but it's not out of the realm of possibility right now that this is the end of Chuck Schumer's ability to lead the Democrats in the Senate, and that they open this up to maybe younger people, someone like Chris Murphy who can communicate and do partisanship, someone like Michael Bennett, who I would think, would be an option. Klobuchar is probably next in line, but I do not think she would be a good choice. I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't know how he can withstand this. I mean, for 4 more years, no.
This may not be the end of him, but it's probably the beginning of the end of him. He is not going to enjoy that book tour.
Well, insure it. I mean, if you are in any of the areas I listed, Baltimore.
Oh, don't plan to go. Go see if you can get a ticket now.
It's like $40, $45.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So
the Baileys.
Well, there's a special guest.
The thing I love about the Baileys is they always pay to go to book tours.
They're upper
middle
class.
That is one of the things that they really do. They love to read. And they love to pay to go see a book tour.
Do you know who his special guest is at the New York City book tour stop? Why don't you guess?
Oh, well, I already know who.
Oh,
it is.
damn it!
Of course, it's Richie Torres.
It is Richie Torres.
Yes, one of the things the Baileys say is that, one, I want to pay a lot of money to see a book tour because it's so worth it. We love a book tour. And then one of their biggest draws, of course, is Richie Torres.
I love Richie.
Everybody loves Richie.
Everybody.
And he is, excuse me, I can't read the Bailey papers. And they love it Oh, we have a breaking clip of Chuck Schumer now. Will you pull up that clip
yes.
without the yeah? And here he is. He's on the steps, and he's cheering. Keep the audio down there. Ready? Yeah, there he is. He's yelling, "We will capitulate.
We will go on vacation.
Ceiling.
We will capitulate.
Bailey coin. Bailey coin.
We will capitulate. We will capitulate. We will capitulate.
Buy my book.
Buy my book. Buy my book." God. Oh, I gotta take a break. I gotta walk away now. Buy my book.
Oh God, that freeze frame. Look at him. Look at him. Just put it up real quick.
Gold Rush John.
Oh my God.
Gold Rush John says that Schumer's new book is selling for $10 million per copy. We didn't do great on the actual volume, but I will tell you, we made a lot of money.
Quality over quantity.
Yep.
Jeffries, we are not afraid of a government funding showdown, and we will win that showdown, is what he's saying today, right?
Well, we will not. We will not have that showdown. We will not have that showdown. We will not have that showdown. We will, Liz Cheney, why are you so aroused right now, Sam? Tim Pool's plunger, the last thing Schumer did with his majority seat before Trump came in was push through a bill targeting Palestinian protesters, or Palestine protesters. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.